Hi, how are you doing? Today it's time for another reading vlog. Isn't that fun? For today's reading vlog, I did something I have not done before, and that's rereading books. I mean, I've reread books before, but I've never done a vlog fully so focused on rereads. That's what we're doing today, and I'm very excited about it. If you know me, if you've been around here, you know that my main goal, reading goal for 2023 is to finish more series, and you know, I have a forgetful brain, so in order to do that for some series, I have to reread the first book or like the second, or like whatever I got up to, and before continuing, because don't remember. So I thought it would be fun for this video to reread 3 series starters in the hope that I will actually finish them this year. So the 3 books I ended up reading in this video are The Sword of Summer by Riordan, which is the first book in the Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard series. Then I also reread Shade of Gold by Cassandra Clare, which is the first book in the Last Hours trilogy. And then lastly, I reread Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, which is the first book in the Red Queen series. So yeah, let's just delve into things. Okay, hi, can you guess what video I just filmed? We're starting this vlog off with Magnus Chase and The Sword of Summer. I hate this cover so much, but recorded. I bought this. Oh my god. I wrote the date. And like for some time in my book owning, I wrote the date that I bought a book on the inside of this with a pencil, because that's what libraries do, and I thought it was so cool. I bought this January 21st, 2016. That's so long ago. Wait, I bought this and Percy Jackson in the same breath because this is the series that was coming out by Riordan back then. Everyone was talking about it, and I thought it would be so cool to read it. And then I read the Percy Jackson series immediately, dove into this one, and then I just never continued on with this series. I don't know why that happened, because I did enjoy this. I remember giving this a 4-star when I first read it, so I really enjoyed it. I didn't love it as much as Percy Jackson, but I still really enjoyed it. And now it's been many years. Oh my god, 2016. I haven't continued the series, haven't revisited, and I really desperately want to do that, because like I've said this in so many videos at this point. In 2023, I want to catch up on my Riordan's backlist, but to finish this series, I have to reread this first, because I generally remember nothing. I know it's Norse mythology, I didn't even remember that this is at the crown of Ptolemy in the back. Why is that a thing? Why does this have a short story featuring Percy Jackson and the King siblings in the back? Why is that a thing? Also, I think, yeah, the crown of Ptolemy is the last in the series, so why is that continued, and why is that in this book? Generally, I don't know. I'm also thinking this will be a blast to the past, because I genuinely think if I'm gonna read this, things are gonna come flashing back to me. But let me give you the back synopsis. My name is Magnus Chase. I'm orphaned and living rough on the streets of Boston, and things are about to get much worse. My day started out normally enough. I was sleeping under a bridge when some guy kicked me awake and said, "They're after you." Next thing I know, I'm reunited with my obnoxious uncle, who casually informs me that my long-lost father is a Norse god. Nothing normal about that, and it turns out the gods of Asgard are preparing for war. Apparently, if I can't find the sword my father lost 2,000 years ago, there will be doomsday to be precise. A fire giants attacking the city, immortal warriors hacking each other to pieces, and killable wolves with glowing eyes is all coming up. But first, I'm going to die. The story of my life goes downhill from there. I'll see you once I've read something. Hi. So I'm a quarter of the way through The Sword of Summer, which is 122 pages. I'm gonna do a quarter, half, and then when I finish, but I'm really glad I'm rereading this, because I generally remember nothing of this book, which I already thought, you know, like I have no memory of it, but like reading this so far, no recollection, which is interesting, because I especially also don't have any recollection of like the things I highlighted. I'm taking out the tabs as I'm reading because I don't like them, but I have to look for it. But I kind of like I already said this in like the intro, I like randomly highlighted things here, and so far the pattern I can tell is just it's funny bits, even though I have laughed more than just highlights, but most of them are funny. So there we go. It's interesting insight into that annotations. Give you my thoughts on this book so far. I'm really enjoying this. I really love Magnus as a main character. He's very sarcastic, but in a different way than Percy is, because I feel like Percy is more sassy than sarcastic, and Magnus is just like sarcastic, and I really just, I've chuckled a lot to this book several times. Kind of thrown into the deep end though, where like we're at Valhalla at this point, but we haven't been there long. Magnus is like first like full day, you know what I mean? So we're kind of thrown into the deep end. We're figuring things out alongside Magnus, which is really insane. I don't know anything about Norse mythology beyond Marvel movies, which I know is not a credible source, and they make fun of it in this book as well. So I have the glossary in the back marked in my bookmark, so I can refer to it whenever I need it, and so far I've needed it a lot, which is interesting because I don't remember that being the case with other equivalent series, but I know the story has not fully kicked in yet, and I don't know I don't remember what the story is exactly, and I do remember some vague stuff, like very, very vague stuff, and I'm really curious from where we are now how we're getting there. So yeah, I'll update you at the halfway mark, and yeah, just know I'm enjoying this. Hi, so I am halfway through the Sword of Summer, which is 244 pages in, and I'm really enjoying this a whole lot. I definitely have gotten like into the main plot of this book properly now, but still like in an introductory way a bit. It's, you know, like the first quarter is mainly being introduced to this world and how it works and stuff like that, and now we have done like the first step in a quest, I guess. And I'm really, really enjoying this. I love Magnus as a main character. He does annoy me at some points, but overall I think he's really funny and like just really fun to follow. I really love the cast of side characters we've gotten so far in here. I like the story and I like the inclusion of Norse mythology. I think it's all really interesting to read, and honestly I generally remember nothing. Hi, so I have finished the Sword of Summer, and I'm doing something that has never happened before, and that is that I'm raising my star rating from a 4 to a 5 because oh my god, this was amazing. Typically when I change my ratings upon reread, it's to lower them, not to put them higher, because I wasn't critical while I was reading back in the day. So you know, usually it goes lower, not higher, but it's definitely going higher. Like oh my god, this was so much fun. I love Magnus. He's such a fun main character. I love the cast of side characters. Like a group of friends in here is like everything. Sam is like my favorite side character in this book. She's so much fun as well, and the storyline is really like action-packed, but also like not that action-packed, and you still like have time to like figure things out and stuff. Like, you know, it's not constantly go go go, but it also isn't that slow that it feels slow, you know what I mean? But we are like constantly learning new things, and we're doing like little side quests, but in a way that feels integrated into the main part and doesn't make you think, why are we doing this? Like they generally have a purpose, and that's something I really like. And I also just like laughed so much while reading this book, and I'm so very excited to continue on with the series, which I generally I can't believe why I didn't do that when I first read this book. Hi, I'm here with a quick update as I started Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. This is my next reread for this vlog. I am 1 chapter in already, and as you can tell, I am like tabbing quite a bit already. Which also, can I just say something fun about this reread is that it has been annotated. Like when I originally read this, I annotated it, and I'm just like adding new annotations to it and like adding tabs because I didn't add tabs back when I first read this. So that's really cool. Like, for example, to emphasize my point here, I put some exclamation marks. But you don't want to know about that, you want to know what this book is about, so let me tell you. Love gets deeper than any blades. Cordelia Carstairs is a shadow hunter, a warrior trained since childhood to battle demons. When she travels to London, she encounters childhood friends James and Lucy Herondale and is drawn into their world of glittering ballrooms and supernatural salons. All the while, she must hide her secret love for James, who was sworn to marry someone else. But Cordelia's new life is blown apart when demon attacks devastate London. Trapped in the city, Cordelia and her friends discover that a dark legacy has gifted them with incredible powers, and a brutal choice will reveal the true cruel price of being a hero. So that's the synopsis of this book, and I've gotta say, fun fact, I looked it up on Goodreads, and I originally read this book in April of 2020, and in fact it's been exactly, because I wrote it down, it's been 2 years since I first finished this book. I don't remember a whole lot about this, and I now will have to like give you a synopsis of this book from my memory of like all the things that happen in here. Spoilery, it wouldn't be very good, but as I'm reading this, like things are definitely like coming back to my mind. I'm like, oh, I remember that. I'm very excited to reread this. I did like a really long spoilery vlog on this book when I first read it, which I hate that video, so I'll link it above. It's your own risk if you're gonna watch it or not. I generally despise it, but you might like it, I don't know. And yeah, let's read this. If you want my spoiler-free thoughts on this book, you can stick around here. We'll read it together. Hi, so I am a quarter of the way through Shade of Gold. I've moved to the living room, hence the change of location. This is what the tabbing situation looks like. As you can see, a lot of yellow, a lot of green, which means a lot of plot stuff and a lot of laughing, which is great. I'm 148 pages in. Like I said, that's a quarter of the way through, and I love it so much. I'm glad I'm rereading this because it just helps me just get back sucked into this world and remember my love for these characters. And I'm also just like really enjoying the plot. Like, it's very slow moving so far. I only have like a little hints of what's to come, but I really like the foreshadowing that's being done. And like I said in my opening clip when I just read the first chapter, I don't remember a whole lot about this book, but as I'm reading, like, things are coming back to me, and I'm having such a fun time, and I really had a hard time closing this book to give you this update. So even though this might be a chunker, I think I'm gonna finish this really quickly. Hi, I am halfway through Shade of Gold right now. Here we go. It's page 296, and look at all these pretty stuff. I am loving this reread so much. I don't think I have much more news to tell you compared to the last update. I mean, we have definitely delved into the plot a lot more, and I'm having a blast. I'm having such a fun time. Matthew definitely still is my favorite Shadowhunters character. I was a bit debating on it because that's a very bold statement I made after finishing this book, that Matthew Fairchild was officially my new favorite Shadowhunters character, rising above his own father Henry and Magnus, which is a very bold claim to make after one book, but like, I'm only halfway through and I'm like, yes, that still stands. I love Matthew so much. He's like a cinnamon roll, and I haven't gotten to like his backstory yet in the way I'll call it, but I remember it, and it's very tragic, and I am really enjoying this. I'm having so much fun. I think this might be a 5-star as well. I originally gave it as a 4-star. I don't know how the second half is gonna go, but it gives me 5-star feeling. And not me starting this like talking about Magnus Chase, different Magnus. Not me talking about Magnus Chase and saying like, I don't typically raise ratings upon reread, and like me thinking about doing it again with this book. It's not fair. Hi, so I finished Shade of Gold by Cassandra Clare, and like I predicted in my last update, this is a 5-star. I don't know what's wrong with me, like past me, because this was amazing. To be fair, does this compare to like my favorite Shadowhunters books? No. Do I still think this is a valid 5-star? Yes. The only problem I had was there's so many characters and they're all related in some way, and that was very confusing. So I made a little like character guide family tree thing that I won't show up on screen because I've added some stuff on there that happened in this book, so will be spoilery. By the way, here is the annotation. Look at how pretty it looks. It's very colorful, very nice. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was great. It had a very intriguing storyline, and especially towards the end, there's a couple of things that are happening, and in the end those things kind of like start converging and things are happening at the same time. And I feel like because it's third person, but we kind of like switch in between what focuses on quite a lot towards the end, and I feel like that builds the tension so well of the moment that's happening. Overall, I think the plot is done really well. It does start out a little bit more slow because it kind of is trying to familiarize you with the characters and this world again, and like why we are in this world at the start of this series. So it builds up a bit slow, but it's all like these tiny puzzle pieces that start coming into view, and then once the more you continue, the more puzzle pieces you get, and you start getting more of a clear picture, which I really enjoy. I also really like this cast of characters. I think it's such a fun friend group to follow. The Merry Thieves generally are a great band of characters to follow, but even besides that, the whole cast is very interesting. There's great relationships in this as well. Like I said before, the main romance is the one I care about the least, which is very typical for me with Cassandra Clare. So it makes sense that it's also the case for this. But I feel like with Cassandra Clare, her romances kind of like fall into like the same tropes, and I feel like she's doing something very interesting with the main romance in this one. So at least I'm applauding her for that. And yeah, I don't know, I just had a whole lot of fun reading this book, rereading this book, having an experience of also just like seeing my old annotations in here, which was so much fun at times because I genuinely laughed at myself. And I have the other two books like right here. You're standing at the top of my book card, they're at the bottom, and I'm so excited to get to them. But first I need to read the last book for this video. Hi, so we're reading Red Queen today by Victoria Aveyard. This will be my third time reading this book, which is fun. I originally read this like way back in the day. This is actually one of the first books I read because of BookTube, so it holds a special place in my heart, especially because I absolutely loved it when I first read it. And then I reread it back in 2019 because I wanted to continue on with the series. It had been a while, so I reread it, and now I'm rereading it again because here's the thing. I read book 1 and 2 in the series, never 3 and 4, which I desperately want to get to because this is generally the oldest series on my TBR. Like this is the series I started the longest ago, so it desperately needs to be finished. But I remember nothing about book 2. This one is very fresh in my memory. I remember quite a lot of what happens in this, at least like the main parts. When it comes to details, I'm a bit foggy, but like the main storyline I remember pretty well. But the second book is gone, so I want to reread that, but I don't want to reread that without rereading this. So I'm reading this for the third time. I'm actually really excited about this because, like I said, this book holds a special place in my heart. And I know when I first read it, I gave it 5 stars, and then the second time around I gave it 4 stars. So with the way this video has been going, who knows what direction this will take me into. Let me also give you the synopsis. I almost forgot about that. This is a really long one on the back, so bear with me. Mare Barrow's world is divided by blood, those with red and those with silver. Mare and her family are lowly reds, destined to serve the silver elite whose supernatural abilities make them nearly gods. Mare steals what she can to help her family survive, but when her best friend is conscripted into the army, she gambles everything to win his freedom. A twist of fate leads her to the royal palace itself, where in front of the king and all of his nobles, she discovers a power of her own, an ability she didn't know she had. Except her blood is red. To hide this impossibility, the king forces her into the role of a lost silver princess and betroths her to one of his own sons. As Mare is drawn further into the silver world, she risks her new position to aid the Scarlet Guard, the leaders of the Red Rebellion. Her actions put into motion a deadly and violent dance, pitting prince against prince and Mare against her own heart. This one is honestly to blame for a lot of tropes I love, so there we go. I'm so excited to give it as a reread. Hi, so I'm halfway through Red Queen. I'm getting a little sick, I think, which isn't fun, but at least I'm reading a book I have read twice before, so it doesn't require too much brain power, you know. But like I said, halfway through Red Queen, which means page 191, and I am really enjoying this. The first half is kind of, well, setup is not the right word for it, but it is Mare discovering her power. It's being introduced into the court setting, like the royalty, and it's setting up these characters and this world. And I feel like now I'm in a scene that's actually like kicking off the plot and like making us go into the thick of it, you know. So I am very excited to keep reading. At this moment in time, I do feel like this is gonna stay a 4-star. This is not gonna join the rankings of upcoming 5s. This is gonna say a 4-star. I think I assessed that rating pretty well on my second read through. I understand why I gave it as a 5 stars when I first read it, because the plot twist, if you don't know it, does. It's something, you know? I have not reached the plot twist yet, but I know what it is, and I feel like if you know what it is very obvious, and there's a lot of foreshadowing in the beginning, which is my criticism of this book and always has been, but I didn't see it coming when I read it the first time, so this absolutely blew my mind, and that's why it was a 5-star the first time I read it. But now I can tell you it's not blowing my mind, but I am just having a really fun time with it. I feel like if you like the selection, you'll also really like this if you want that nostalgia back, but with 4 new series. I feel like there's so many similarities and like vibes between this and the selection, even though like the storylines are so incredibly different. And then I like Mare. She's a very stubborn main character, but I feel like in a way that works. I feel like oftentimes when it comes, I love early YA fantasy, it has a vibe that nothing has anymore, as much as I love nowadays YA fantasy as well. This was just a vibe that I cannot express what is so different about it now, but it has this vibe, this feeling that I love, and it's so comforting to me. But it does typically have this protagonist that is very stubborn and annoying and is constantly putting themselves in danger for no reason, and Mare is like that, but I feel like in a way that's not insufferable, at least so far. So that's great. I really like the world and the magic system. I love learning about that. This is the tabbing situation, by the way. It's not a whole lot, but I'm expecting that to get a little bit more in the second half, because like I said, this is where the good stuff happens. Okay, hi, I'm here to tell you that I finished Red Queen. Look at these tabs. Doesn't look as pretty as Shade of Gold, I'll be honest, but they're still loads of tabs, especially green ones. I took notice of a lot of like plot things in here, and yeah, that's what I marked. But like I said before, this is my 3rd time reading this book, so I feel like everything I'm gonna tell you is like nothing new for me. This is gonna be very repetitive for it's my last reread. I feel like my thoughts on it haven't changed. Like I said, I reread this and able to also reread book 2, which I don't remember anything about. I do remember a lot about this book, and it's kind of like a bit of a comfort read for me, so I did not mind rereading it. In the end, I gave it 4 stars, just like the last time I read it, which is a star down from the first time I read it, because I stand by the I understand why I gave it a 5-star when I first read it, because that plot twist, if you don't see it coming, is a really good one. I just agree with the criticism of this book that it's foreshadowed a lot. Like, it's very obvious that it's coming, and I didn't notice that the first time reading it, but like now having reread it for the second time, I picked up on even more foreshadowing than I did when my first reread. And if you picked up on that on your first read, like I can totally like understand why that's like the main criticism of this book, is that it's very predictable, because it kind of is. But like I said, this is a comfort read for me, and part of that is the nostalgia, but also part of that is that this just fits into very many tropes that I really like, and I think it executes them very well, not necessarily in a unique and special way, but in a way that is very entertaining and fun to read. I really like the cast of characters and the dynamics, and I think the plot is still very engaging, even if it's predictable. I just flew through this book because I was just so engaged by the story and everything that was happening. And yeah, I'm actually really excited to reread book 2 now. So we're at the end of the vlog. I finished all 3 books that I set out to read, and I have 2 5-stars and 1 4-star. And like I said, I didn't really see my thoughts on Red Queen changing, but the fact that The Sword of Summer and Shade of Gold were like both wasted star, very shocking. Did not see that coming, but I loved it nonetheless. I have in fact since the beginning of this video finished the entire Magnus Chase trilogy. I did a series discussion on that, so I'm sure that popped up somewhere above already, but go check that out if you haven't seen it, if you want to know my full thoughts on this series. I am also planning on reading the other 2 books in the series pretty soon and doing spoilery vlogs for those, like I did with this book, except better, because I don't like the way I executed it then. And then I'm just gonna slowly be making my way through the series. But if you just stick around on this channel, subscribe, which I never tell you to do, I'm sure you'll come across series discussions for both of these other 2 series before the end of the year, because that's definitely what I want to do. That's everything I have for you today. Hopefully I'll see you around next time.